Ukraine has captured two North Korean soldiers and made public an interrogation of these soldiers. They said they were told they were being sent for a training and not to fight Ukraine. What's your reaction to that?
Okay, I think this makes the capturing of prisoners of war really emphasizes Pyongyang's role in fueling and supplying manpower for Russia's war. I think what it also highlights is the broader and complex nature of what happens next. We know that Zelenskyy has already proposed the idea of a prisoner swap, but I think there are still further questions relating to these soldiers that need to go answered and which will be difficult to answer. We know that an interpreter was used, for instance, to interpret what these two men were saying. But we need to try and understand, firstly, the extent to which they have been indoctrinated. To what extent are their responses to their interrogators honest? Because surely they will have also been told how to respond and what they can give out to Ukrainians.
South Korea says nearly 300 North Korean soldiers are now dead and additional 2,700 soldiers are injured. That's nearly a quarter of the forces that North Korea sent to fight alongside Russia. Do you think the North Koreans will send more troops to fight on behalf of Russia?
So it's interesting because obviously South Korea's estimate is lower than that of Ukraine. I think in past reports, Ukraine has said that the number of soldiers injured is nearly 4,000. But irrespective of that difference, as you said, this is a very large number of soldiers. We know that last year in 2024, the death toll, the average daily death toll on the part of Russia was around about 11 or 1,200. So 11,000 North Korean troops, they are sadly going to be facing the untimely fate of death. Okay, if we just take past data, we know that most of North Korea's troops that have been hitherto sent have come from the North Korean elites, the Storm Corps, the Special Forces, but obviously, eventually, the Special Forces, if Pyongyang were to keep sending them, they would run out as well.
What do you make of these reports about North Korean soldiers being told to kill themselves if they are wounded rather than allow themselves to be captured?
I think the instructions to commit suicide is something that we cannot discount, and it does fit in line with North Korea's ideology, and it does fit in line with Kim Jong Un's attempts, particularly recently, to clamp down on sort of violations of Juche ideology, and this started during COVID. I think we must also remember that many of these troops, or a lot of these North Korean troops, are very young. The two men who were interrogated by the Ukrainians, I think one was born in 1999 and the other was born in the early 2000s. So they are very, very young. And that is something that needs to be taken into consideration.